everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live with John Schneider and James Stevens.
Welcome to everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live. I'm John Schneider from the Saturday Night Network.
And I'm James Stevens. Thank you for joining us in this celebration of 50 years of SNL as we look back at the sketches, characters, and backstage stories.
And now here's everything you need to know about season 21 of Saturday Night Live. The 20th season of Saturday Night Live saw the show once again narrowly miss cancellation. Over the summer, NBC made it clear that change was coming, whether or not executive producer Lorne Michaels was calling the shots. Lorne and NBC would use the summer to identify a new core team, marking a new era for Saturday Night Live. The only cast members initially returning from the season prior were Norm Macdonald, Mark McKinney, Molly Shannon, who was promoted to repertory status, and David Spade, who would mostly be relegated to a new segment, Spade in America, essentially a spin-off of his Hollywood Minute and Weekend Update commentaries. Behind the camera, the only writers to return from season 20 are Tim Herlihy, Norm Hiscock, Steve Coren, and Fred Wolf, with previous head writer Jim Downey assigned primarily to Weekend Update. The summer of 1995 saw dozens of young faces audition for this reimagined SNL, but would ultimately come down to 5 new cast members, presenting what SNL would coin a newer and fewer cast. The new cast members are guaranteed only half a season, in the event that the new players are determined unsuccessful. 2 players come to the show from the Groundlings, 28-year-old Will Ferrell from Irvine, California, and 33-year-old Sherry O'Terry from Pennsylvania. 2 more coming from the second city in Chicago, 33-year-old David Koechner from Missouri, and 29-year-old Nancy Walls from Massachusetts, who would marry fellow improviser Steve Carell less than 2 months before the start of the season. The final cast member, 39-year-old Daryl Hammond, a stand-up comic and impressionist from Florida.
Looking for additional leadership to guide the new season, Lorne Michaels seeks to fill the now vacant producer role. After being rejected by Robert Smigel and Judd Apatow, Lorne would appoint Steve Higgins, writer-performer from the recently canceled syndicated Jon Stewart show, as co-head writer and producer, alongside returning writer Fred Wolf. After the retirement of SNL's longtime director Dave Wilson, the show would see another new hire joining the ranks from the Jon Stewart show. SNL's new director, Beth McCarthy, coming on board initially to direct only the show's musical performances, Weekend Update, and Spade in America. Guitarist G.E. Smith, band leader since season 11, was let go, resulting in the promotion of keyboardist Cheryl Hardwick and saxophonist Lenny Pickett as co-band leaders. Additional hires joining the writing staff would include Adam McKay, one of the original members of the Upright Citizens Brigade comedy troupe who had auditioned to be a performer, Colin Quinn, a former In Living Color writer who would be making many appearances in sketches and on Update before joining the cast later this season, Paula Pell, a comedy writer from Illinois, and from Iowa, Harper Steele, a writer on the Jon Stewart show. Right before the start of the season, 2 more cast members would be added. 28-year-old Jim Brewer from Long Island, a stand-up comedian, was brought on at NBC's insistence. And Tim Meadows, cast member from the previous 5 seasons, was initially offered only a writing contract, but was ultimately asked to return to the cast after the show failed to hire a new performer of color. It has been reported that the producers had a difficult time booking guests, with the first few episodes of the new season hosted by television personalities and NBC talent. For the season premiere, the artist formerly known as Prince had initially been booked as musical guests, but ultimately backed out at the last minute. The fall of 1995 had SNL in a vulnerable position, facing stiff competition from other networks, including Fox, who had launched their own sketch comedy series, Mad TV, on October 14th, 1995. The stage was set, and only time would tell how this new era of Saturday Night Live would be received.
It's Saturday Night Live!
The 21st season premiered on September 30th, 1995, with TV actress Mariel Hemingway and musical guest Blues Traveler. From the start, it's apparent there's a very different look and feel from the previous season. A new logo is introduced, replacing the manhole-inspired design from 1988 with a cool Blue Note display, as well as a classy update to the opening montage. The premiere would mark the use of a new home base set, depicting an urban back alley complete with fire escape. The previous home base set would be moved to stage 2 and repurposed as the musical guest stage. After NBC had identified a trend with a drop in the show's ratings during the first musical performance, producers would experiment with the structure of the show's running order this season, sometimes holding that first music performance until after Weekend Update in the hopes of keeping viewers engaged longer. The season premiere opens with a satirical look at how the country has consumed the trial of the century.
This is OJ Today, with OJ anchorpersons Bill McDonald and Casey Nagamura, OJ correspondent Paul Dabney Cruz, Fritz Connolly with OJ Weather.
Penned by guest writer Robert Smigel, the cold open has Johnny Cochran using the race card in his closing arguments.
They are insulting the intelligence and the credibility of this jury when they imply that we are in some way trying to manipulate a predominantly black jury by my wearing this African tribal tie.
Played by returning cast member Tim Meadows.
That's an insult to this jury, and I am personally offended. Not only on my behalf, but also on behalf of my esteemed colleagues, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Bailey, and Mr. Sheck.
The episode would feature several debuts, including Will Ferrell's Get Off the Shed sketch.
I will punch you in the face if you don't get off the shed!
A piece that Will actually auditioned with.
Get off the shed! Get off the damn shed!
Sherry and Molly's faux talk show.
I'm a mediocre dancer and I made it big. I'm America's sweetheart and I'm wearing a wig. Leg up!
And Mark's Chicken Lady, a popular character of McKinney's from The Kids in the Hall.
My daddy was a drifter and my mom, she was a hand. And one night my daddy got the sex fever. Well, he got the fever bad. So he went down to visit my mom, and then I was born.
The episode would also feature some debut impressions, including Norm's Bob Dole.
Prayer in school, Bob Dole's for it. Balanced budget, Bob Dole's for it. Vaginal sex, Bob Dole's for it.
And Daryl's Ted Koppel.
Are you saying that a President Powell might someday wake up with Boris Yeltsin hanging over him like a shawl, reeking up the White House sheets with the smell of vodka, sweat, and cheap cigarettes?
Returning writer Jack Handy would debut a new segment, Fuzzy Memories.
When I was in the 3rd grade, a bully at school started beating me up every day. At first I didn't say anything, but then I told Dad. He got a real scared look on his face and asked if the bully had a big dad. I said I didn't know, but he still seemed scared. And just a few days later, we moved to a new town.
And David Spade would premiere his new weekly segment, Spade in America.
Unabomber? At least use your status to get women. They love power. Even I've told girls I'm the Unabomber. Believe me, it works. Lately, it works better than saying I'm on Saturday Night Live, that's for sure.
Approaching the 20th anniversary of the show's premiere.
It is just 4 days short of being 20 years to the day that I opened the first show by saying, live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Chevy Chase would return, hosting for the 7th time.
A lot of ghosts in the studio.
The episode would occur during the week of the O.J. Simpson trial verdict, providing 2 memorable moments. The first in the cold open.
Now you lined up your halfback right behind your quarterback. Your tight end has been running a curl pattern. Now when Kelly fakes play action, the defense is frozen, allowing your wide open to be open on the other side, opening a hole in the middle and a seam on the left.
And another on Weekend Update.
Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California.
We are treated to a bit of nostalgia, with Don Novello reprising his father Guido Sarducci in a remote segment on Update.
The Pope has lost his wallet. That's right. He's pretty sure that he lost it here in the park. He knows he had it when he came here.
And in a Braveheart sketch,
We await Braveheart!
Lorne attempts to convince Chevy that he needs to do a fall.
Chevy, this is a showcase for your fall. People expect to see you fall. It's a tradition.
That's why I'm uncomfortable. Lauren, I've been eating all summer. Eggs mostly, but deep fried, and I'm out of shape.
A role that Jim Brewer ends up falling into. Friends star David Schwimmer would host next.
I'll be there for you, David.
Using the monologue to bring on some of his friends and other notable sitcom personalities. A commercial parody featuring writer Jim Downey.
If a client is talking and you're not listening, and he notices, and he accuses you of not listening, just say, "Sure, I've been listening. I've heard every word you've said."
Would play as a runner in the episode.
If he then says, "All right, tell me what I've been talking about," just say, "You've been talking about your investments, which stocks to buy, and so on." That way, the client will think you've been listening, even though you haven't.
On Weekend Update, Norm would document his first note to self.
Less than 2 years after that horrific bus accident which nearly left her crippled, singer Gloria Estefan has been involved in a fatal boating accident in which a surfer was killed. Memo to self, cancel hang gliding with Gloria Estefan. Let me just cancel that out there.
Jennifer Aniston joins Spade in America.
I see that your jokes here, they're not, funny, ha-ha. They're more funny like you should have left with Farley and Sandler.
And Sherry O'Terry's tough-talking Philadelphia woman, Rita Del Vecchio.
Okay, you kids got the whole street to play ball on, but you gotta play in front of my house. That's okay, because I keep it now. Okay? I keep it. It's mine now.
A character patterned after O'Terry's grandmother and part of her SNL audition would debut in this episode.
I'm okay. Little Gassy, we just say, oh, don't listen to me, Trees. I'm bad. Don't listen to me. You set me up, you bitch.
An unscripted moment occurs when the hockey net gets caught on O'Terry's house dress.
Yeah, did you hear what happened to the DeMarcos? Look at this.
A moment that would be called back during the Gannets.
So, Sherry made a little mistake earlier tonight. Sherry, you know the rules.
The Halloween episode would bring Irish actor Gabriel Byrne to host. The cold open would include the debut of Daryl Hammond's now iconic Bill Clinton impression.
Is that candy? How about that?
We also meet Molly Shannon's signature character,
Mary Catherine.
the hyperactive Catholic schoolgirl.
Sometimes when I get nervous, I stick my hands under my arms and then I smell my fingers like that.
Next, director Quentin Tarantino comes to host.
Directors, by and large, are the most butt-ugly motley group of geeks found this side of a Star Trek convention.
The episode marks the first for two new character duos. First, David Koechner and Mark McKinney as the British Fops,
Lucian Callow and Fagin,
who in this first outing appear as the president and the chairman of the Norm Macdonald fan club.
Oh, the king of late night. Oh, Lucian, avert your eyes.
Oh, mine eyes are indeed averted, for I fear that should I, in such close proximity to this late-night diva, actually gaze upon his cherubic face.
And Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry introduce Craig and Ariana.
Hey! Who's that Spartan hanging upside down?
It's me!
I said, who's that Spartan hanging upside down?
Overeager high school students who, despite not making the cheerleading squad,
Give back the uniform!
show up anyway with incredible Spartan spirit. And Norm Macdonald would debut his Stan Hooper character.
Hey, how's it hanging?
A character that would appear several times throughout the season.
I quit my job. I'm doing a show full time now.
Actress Laura Layton of Melrose Place would host next.
Hey, Midget, how's the weather down there?
It's okay. Hey, how's the weather up there? Apparently it's partly bitchy. Yeah!
The episode features a memorable commercial parody written by Tom Giannis and Adam McKay.
Darren and I have a policy with Old Glory Insurance that covers us in case we're attacked by robots.
An insurance policy with a robot plan?
Mm-hmm.
Well, certainly I'm too old.
As a senior citizen, you're probably aware of the threat robots pose. Robots are everywhere, and they eat old people's medicine for fuel. Well, now there's a company that offers coverage against the unfortunate event of a robot attack. Old Glory Insurance.
On Weekend Update, writer Colin Quinn makes an appearance.
In crime, the moron from across the street stole one of my garbage cans last week.
Delivering local news from Brooklyn as blue-collar worker Joe Blow.
In politics, I don't get along with none of my neighbors. Me and the black guy next to me haven't spoken since he painted his fence red, black, and green after the Million Man March. On the other side, you got the Spanish guy always coming out to get the paper with no shirt on. He's got tattoos of people robbing gas stations.
And this installment of Spade in America.
What's the one thing you and me and Mickey Rourke have in common?
We're all cool.
Tattoos.
I don't have a tattoo.
Would have Sean Penn give David Spade a tattoo.
This one kind of screams out, I'm a simple man, and I need a down-to-earth girl that I can kill. Do you remember where you were when JFK was assassinated?
Oh, I was 3. I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember where you were when Wham broke up?
I just know I was crying.
I like this one, but you know who has it already? Katie Couric. And we don't want to be twinsies. Hey, Sarge, what are we doing here exactly?
Do a tattoo.
We're what?
Tattoo. Do a tattoo.
You gotta give me a minute on that, Sarge.
Oh, you're committed now, yeah.
Mallory?
In December, ER actor Anthony Edwards would host.
The bad people put a chip in my head. I want to be queen. I'll fight till I'm dead.
Marking the first appearance for musical guest Foo Fighters. Daryl Hammond would deliver the iconic opening line
From New York!
for the first of over 70 times. We witnessed the debut of some notable impressions, including Jim Brewer's Joe Pesci.
Got my little name here, got pens for writing, little coffee cup, put the coffee in, do a drink. I got everything!
And Sherry O'Terry's Barbara Walters.
We're going to see more of my startling interview with Diana, Princess of Wales. Okay? I didn't do the interview. It was some guy from the BBC. Whatever.
And on Weekend Update, Norm Macdonald is joined for the first time by his brother, Gary.
Gary McDonald. Hey, buddy.
Played by David Koechner.
Hey, Clinton set a deadline saying that troops will be home by Christmas '96. I'll be home for Christmas. Hey, what are they? They think they're Bing Crosby? No.
After a brief cameo in the previous season's Damon Wayans episode, former In Living Color cast member David Alan Grier would host next.
I'm not an equal, but I don't mind. I don't have to dine with you. And you may kick my black behind. Why, yes, indeedy, that'll do.
This episode really delivers some memorable sketches, such as The Rocky Road.
We're the chocolate! We're the marshmallow, and we're all just a little nuts.
The Today Show with Brian Gumbel.
This half-hour Bosnian President Slobodan Milosevic joins us to discuss the deployment of U.S. troops. But first, this is Today on NBC.
And we're clear.
Girl, your perfume stinks!
And a sketch that depicts a morning talk show.
We're looking forward to another 20 years.
It has definitely been a fun ride.
Where chaos ensues following a broken teleprompter.
The weatherman is dead!
A strong installment of Weekend Update has Daryl Hammond's President Clinton give a movie review.
Rob Reiner's latest film tells the story of a young, idealistic president who has not only a hostile Congress and a nasty Republican challenger to contend with, but has to raise a 12-year-old daughter on his own because, you see, his wife is dead. I love this movie.
Colin Quinn would return, this time as his Lenny the Lion character.
I'm currently due to stand trial for the attempted murder of an ocelot, even though I have a signed letter from my therapist that states that I am a natural predator.
And Norm would indicate, for the first time,
across the Great Plains, harsh weather and hungry boll weevils are the cause of one of the worst cotton harvests in years.
His suspicions for the Germans.
Or so the Germans would have us believe.
And this installment of Spade in America has David reprise his Hollywood Minute segment, in which he would infamously make a joke about Eddie Murphy.
Look, children, it's a falling star. Make a wish.
Pundits have speculated that the joke led to an increased rift between Murphy and the show. And in an interview with the New York Times, Eddie would go on to say,
when David Spade said that shit about my career on SNL, it was like, yo, it's in-house. I'm one of the family and you fucking with me like that. It hurt my feelings like that, yeah. This is Saturday Night Live. I'm the biggest thing that ever came off that show. The show would have been off the air if I didn't go back on the show. And now you got somebody from the cast making a crack about my career. And I know that he can't just say that. A joke has to go through these channels. So the producers thought it was okay to say that. So I took it was personal. It was like, all the people that have been on that show, you never heard nobody make no joke about anybody's career.
After 18 years, Madeline Kahn returns to host the Christmas episode.
Last time I hosted this show was in 1977. Yeah, it seems to go really well.
By this point, the new cast is gaining momentum with the popularity of characters such as the Cheerleaders, the British Fops, and Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Sometimes when you touch, the honesty is too much.
A resurgence of optimism would surround the show heading into the new year. The first episode of 1996 has Christopher Walken returning to host for the third time, this time in the midst of a blizzard. The show opens with New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and New York Governor George Pataki commenting on the blizzard and how it affected this week's SNL.
Because of the snowstorm, the time to prepare just wasn't there.
So folks, if you find the jokes are only marginally funny, cut them some slack.
If a sketch doesn't have an ending, well, so what?
The blizzard also reportedly forced Mark McKinney to be absent from the show, as he was not able to travel to New York from Canada. With the week's reduced rehearsal time, the episode would rely more on recurring characters, including Rita Del Vecchio,
Mother Nature, right, pal? Hey, listen, if you see her, send her over. I want to introduce her to the blunt end of my shovel.
Mary Catherine Gallagher, and The Continental.
Allow your mind to wander.
The final sketch of the night,
By the power vested
Whoa,
in me.
whoa, whoa, whoa! Hey! Can I pull this thing here right now?
has David Koechner make his first appearance as Gerald Tibbins, or T-Bone.
Mr. Executioner, if you could.
Hey, ain't no need for formalities. Name's Gerald Tibbins. Friends call me T-Bone. Hey, listen, don't press no charges, okay?
The show would end up going long, forcing Joan Osborne's second performance to be cut and the Goodnights to be cut off, with most markets ending the show on a Christopher Walken bumper. When Alec Baldwin hosts for the 6th time, the 4th season in a row for Baldwin, we are introduced to the legend of Bill Brasky.
Bill Brasky? Yeah. He's a big fella, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's a big guy. He got about 6'7", 385.
I'm in the back of a pickup with Bill Brasky and a live deer. Oh, well, Brasky, he grabs the deer by the antlers, looks at it, and says, "I'm Bill Brasky. Say it." Then he squeezes the deer in such a way that a sound comes out of its mouth, Bill Brasky.
And this week's Joe Pesci show has Baldwin debut his spot-on Robert De Niro impression.
Bobby, how you like the show? You like what's going on here?
Very nice, very nice.
Okay, Bobby, why don't you introduce the next guest? Go ahead.
I can't see the cue card.
Come on, hold up the cue card. Is that good, Bob, right there?
I
like
can't
that?
see it. Hold it up. I can't see it. Hold it up. Turn it off.
The next episode's cold open has Mark McKinney debut his impression of Republican presidential candidate Steve Forbes,
Why not give politics a whirl?
an impression we'll see quite often the rest of the season.
Here I am, leading the race for the Republican nomination. Well, how do I feel? Well, quite satisfied, thank you.
The episode, hosted by actor Danny Aiello,
Get me some high-C turkey!
would feature a cameo from former cast member Chris Farley, appearing on Spade in America.
You don't even know who Newt Gingrich is. I showed you 3 different pictures and you picked Billy Ray Cyrus. Tell him why you're here. What's the real reason, Chris? Don't look down. And don't play with your tie.
It's because of promoting Black Sheep.
Yeah, they can't hear you. Now look ahead. These are your friends. Nobody's gonna hurt you.
Here to promote Black Sheep.
Black Sheep, that's right.
And rapper Coolio would deliver 2 energetic performances.
Saturday Night Live, 1996. LB in the house. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
This energy would certainly contrast with what we find in the next episode, when 3-time host Tom Arnold returns to the show, which happened to be on the heels of a recent controversy at the 1996 Golden Globes.
It's such an exciting night because you're sitting out there. I remember, I was sitting out there and, they call out my ex-wife's name, and she is, of course, home recovering from plastic surgery, so I get to come up here and get the award, and it was a really big night. So, the nominees for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role in a mini-series, in a series, supporting role series.
Maybe I should speak.
Probably not what you do best, but anyway, no, I'm teasing. Okay.
Arnold had a difficult week gelling with the new cast.
We've had a great time this week, haven't we?
Oh, definitely, Tom. You were great all week, and I think you're going to do a great show.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Nance, but
From what I can see, I don't think they pay you for thinking around here.
The consensus was that this was going to be a rough show.
Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Then again, what's a bunch of losers gonna do on a Saturday night, folks?
It has been reported that musical guest Tupac Shakur's absence from rehearsals earlier in the week is what brought about the notorious performance of California Love. Tupac's SNL appearance would occur just 7 months prior to his being killed. And returning for a Weekend Update feature, Adam Sandler would make his first appearance since leaving the show the previous spring.
You gotta gipper, you gotta guyper, you gotta change grandma's diaper, and then pretend that you really didn't mind.
It's worth noting that announcer Don Pardo, dealing with laryngitis, has a difficult time at the mic throughout the Tom Arnold episode. Pardo's condition would worsen, resulting in Daryl Hammond covering announcing duties in the next show.
It's Saturday Night Live.
Model actress Elle Macpherson would host the final show in February, where we get a Buck Henry-style monologue complete with a text crawl.
There's so many fun things uptown for people to enjoy, like museums. There's the Whitney, the Guggenheim, the Museum of Modern Art, and the great thing is...
In addition, McPherson's monologue also marks the first on-screen appearance of writer Hugh Fink.
Because not only is Joyce talking about the main character, but also the city of Dublin. I'd love to see what Joyce would have written if he'd grown up where I did, in Australia. Australians tend to be very observant. For example, I'm fully aware of the guy who's been typing things about me the whole time I've been up here. No worry, though, because I'm going to have him fired.
Please get away from that window.
No.
March kicks off with our annual John Goodman show. With Goodman becoming the 4th host to host for the 7th time, which grants John some special privileges.
The 7th time, that's the best. Because you don't have to do the monologue. This reminds me of my movie King Ralph, which 7 people went to see.
The episode would mark the first for 2 new featured players. 25-year-old Chris Kattan from Washington, a member of the Groundlings who had auditioned the previous summer for a spot in the cast, and writer Colin Quinn, who is now a credited feature player after having made several appearances already this season. Kattan would debut his gibberish-speaking Sewell Forrester character.
Mr. Let's have on chat next, yes or no?
I don't.
Mr. Burgard, where we laughing off?
I don't...
This is Skull Talk. Do we leave off on chapter 6?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we see how Bob Dole fares in the real world.
Who the hell ate my peanut butter? Peanut butter.
I guess I did. Why?
Yeah, well, it's all gone. Next time, ask. Nobody eats Bob Dole's peanut butter without asking.
Whatever.
If you want to chip in, that's a different story. Otherwise, you keep your grubby hands out of Bob Dole's peanut butter.
So I called a house meeting?
Bob Dole likes peanut butter. Bob Dole's never made a secret of that.
Next, Phil Hartman would make his triumphant return to SNL, bringing back several of his popular characters and impressions, including Charlton Heston.
If I had a nickel for every dame who's left my bed a satisfied customer, I'd make Steve Forbes look like a pauper.
Frankenstein, and Frank Sinatra.
I had these 2 broads way back in 48. Should have been a foursome, but Don Rickles was late.
Hartman would introduce a new character, pretentious acting coach Bobby Goldsmith.
This is something. This is nothing. This is something. This is nothing. This is something.
The episode would also bring us the debut of Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan's head-bobbing nightclub patrons, the Roxbury Guys. It's worth noting that it wouldn't be until the next appearance of the Roxbury Guys that the recurring theme, What is Love, by Hathaway, would accompany the brothers throughout each of their nightclubbing misadventures going forward. And a milestone moment occurs in this episode, in that the unfrozen caveman lawyer sketch would mark Hartman's 1000th SNL segment appearance.
Your world frightens and confuses me.
The first person to reach that milestone, further cementing Phil Hartman's SNL legacy.
After exiting the presidential race a month prior, billionaire Steve Forbes would host in April,
I'm just like you.
with musical guest Rage Against the Machine. During rehearsals that week, the band hung upside-down American flags on the set in protest of the week's host. During the live show, despite being asked multiple times to not hang the inverted flags, the band went ahead and did so moments prior to their first performance.
Check 1, 2, 2.
I wouldn't if I were you.
SNL stagehands managed to quickly remove the upside-down flags moments before air, and after the performance, the band was asked to leave the building. Beyond the politically charged musical guest, the episode provides the opportunity for host Steve Forbes to go head-to-head with Mark McKinney's impression of him.
I think to carry on the campaign would have been pointless.
Well, I'm afraid I have to disagree. I think the decision to end the Steve Forbes campaign was disastrous, particularly when you consider the Mark McKinney factor.
The Mark McKinney factor?
Yes. He's a young entertainer on a nationally broadcast live comedy show who had just created a hit character of the candidate Steve Forbes.
The episode would air shortly after the arrest of the Unabomber, and his recently revealed identity is the subject of this week's Cold Open.
Ted Kaczynski! Where did they find
Jimmy
you?
Mallory, you old fool shark, how the hell are you?
Not bad. So, what have you been up to?
I've been doing a lot of writing.
Yeah, really? You get anything published?
Yeah, one thing.
The Cold Open would also mark Will Ferrell's first.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
This show would also mark the first for co-head writer Fred Wolf to be credited as a featured player, with the occasion having Fred give a commentary on Weekend Update.
At the end, it says, "So please help us find a cure for this deadly disease by sending in your contribution for $2. They asked for exactly $2, which made me think, could it be possible that they're actually that close to a cure?
Teri Hatcher of the television series Lois and Clark would host next.
Gee, dog, that was my ice cream cone.
Yep, well, come and get it.
The episode includes a memorable edition of Spade in America, where Teri and David imitate and insult each other.
My agent told me that there is a great part for a semi-good-looking girl who can yell help a different way every week. But the show's starting to bore me, because I'm really good. And so I want to do movies now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did a movie called Black Sheep. Maybe you saw it the first time when it was called Tommy Boy.
May would then kick off with actress Christine Baranski.
I will shove you two back into my womb if you don't get off the set!
Chicago Bulls power forward Dennis Rodman would make 2 cameo appearances in the episode.
I'm running for vice president. And if you don't like it, well, you can just kiss my ass.
Earlier that day, Rodman had played Game 3 of the NBA Eastern Conference semifinals against the New York Knicks. The episode would introduce another Colin Quinn character, gossipy criminal Rolf.
You're crying for your mummies. Turn yellow, just like your friend Jimmy Lee. Keep dreaming, pig. Jimmy Lee turning yellow? No way. Well, to be honest with you, though. What? Well, first of all, I like Jimmy Lee. Oh, me too. Yeah, me too. I love Jimmy Lee. But Jimmy Lee always hit me as a little fake tough. Thank you. Okay, yeah.
The show also marks the debut for Jim Brewer's half-human, half-goat hybrid, Goat Boy.
Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. I can dream about you if I can't ask you to.
And in this evening's edition of Fuzzy Memories, stand-up comic Jim Gaffigan would make a cameo appearance playing a homicidal neighbor.
Promoting the black comedy thriller The Cable Guy,
I mean you no harm!
Jim Carrey comes to host the season finale. The finale feels like a victory lap of the show's new characters and impressions. In addition, Jim Carrey's episode would add a few more of this season's more memorable and now fan-favorite sketches.
Lifeguard on duty, sir! If you don't mind, I have to watch the water!
During the Goodnights, Carrey would make a special recognition for stage manager Joe Dixo, his final show after 21 years with SNL. And with that, the resurrection of Saturday Night Live in season 21 was ultimately considered a success.
Or so the Germans would have us believe.
With a revamped writer's room and the introduction of new cast members Jim Brewer, Will Ferrell, Daryl Hammond, Chris Kattan, Sherry O'Terry, and Colin Quinn, a much-needed freshness was injected into the battle-scarred show.
Slap on all the paint you want, the house still needs renovations.
Also, veterans Norm Macdonald, Mark McKinney, Tim Meadows, and Molly Shannon were given the opportunity to mature as performers.
I just want to get with you.
Now that a more cohesive ensemble cast had been assembled. However, this would be the end of the road for Nancy Walls and David Koechner.
Get out of here, go home.
Though it has been reported that Lorne wanted to keep David, president of NBC West Coast Don Ohlmeyer wanted Koechner gone and would go around Michaels to remove him from the show. In addition, after 6 years on the show as a writer-performer, David Spade would say goodbye to SNL, closing the final chapter of the early 90s Bad Boys era.
You gals heading to the cast party later?
Why do you want to know?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I thought I could get Norm drunk and slow dance with him. Durr!
As we close out season 21 with a spirit of rejuvenation and a presidential election on the horizon, the cast and crew remain hopeful this new era of Saturday Night Live can maintain this positive trajectory as we head towards season 22.
If you are enjoying this series, don't forget to like and subscribe below, and follow us on social media to see our in-depth coverage on all seasons of Saturday Night Live.
SNL season 21 is now available on Peacock. For all of us here at the Saturday Night Network, I'm John Schneider.
And I'm James Stevens, and that's the way it is, folks.